Greetings, everyone. Hawksblood here. All right. Just wanted to get in touch with everybody out there. This is the most important show that you can possibly watch by my viewpoint, because we deal with truth only. We bring the lies out. We bring the stories out. Now my dog's going crazy. My partner just came home. But in the interim, we've been having lots of problems. If you haven't noticed on the show, my site, my videos are being taken down. They're blocking on me on many sites. So please bear in mind if anything happens or you don't see our show. It's not my fault intentionally. I try to do one show at least with Tina every week, and we do 4 a month, and that's usually the case. Unless she's sick in the hospital, I'll still do it by myself. I mean, I got to go to the hospital Friday. But, people, the things that are actually happening are crazy. I don't know if you notice people are a little bit strange just about everywhere you go nowadays. They're all angry. They're all frustrated. And seriously, I think they all think they're important. I mean, all these new age people telling you that they are. But I'm going to give it over to Tina to say hello to everybody. Hello, Tina.
Hi, Tommy. Hi, guys. Hello, everybody. Tina Bird from Southampton here in the UK. I'm here this week with Tommy, who's in Hawaii. It's good to see you, and I can see John's already in the chat room. Again, it's good to see you, and we're going to get right on it. Thank you very much. Just reading chat room comments. Sorry. This week it is people. Tommy's right. There's so many things that is going on, I should say. So we've got the rocket launches going on. We've got the biggest fireball they think they've seen recorded in Russia. Also, we're having a lot of tectonic plate movement over there. One of their volcanoes is erupted, which isn't really far from us geologically. Is erupted this week, spewing millions of tons of ash into the air. And a few other islands that you wouldn't really expect around the world that we've got so much volcanism this last year. It's increasing. Is it Hapgood's theory come true? What's going on? Are we nearing a large object to cause all this volcanic disturbance and tectonic plate movement? So, and again, there are more and more people coming out that used to tell everybody stories that now are telling their own, or lots of things. And people are frustrated with it. We are living in difficult times. We've not long come out of COVID. A lot of people have been depressed, and now we're coming into harder times. The economy is taking a crash dive. Food's become more and more expensive, and it's not going to get any cheaper. So the only way forward is it's going to get more and more expensive. So there's lots of different, lots going on in not just the world of ufology, but just in the world in general. I think it's Africa that's coming apart at the seams there. That's split into two. Again, I think UFOs have been sighted over that kind of part. So, Tommy, I'll hand it back to you. There's lots of different things, guys. If you want to ask a question or come in, let us know, Tommy.
Yeah, well, first off, there was a 6.6 earthquake in Fiji this morning. People aren't watching that, and I bring it up every so often. I keep an eye on it for the past 10 years. The earthquake chart is escalating to incredible heights, which people aren't talking about. A 6.6 isn't a small earthquake, and they're happening like every other week now there. Japan's having a lot of them. Russia's having a lot of them, and Alaska's having a lot of them. California had a big one recently, but I think the Ring of Fire is going to explode soon. Something's going to happen. We're waiting to see if the volcano is going to go off. They said it might be, and all that. They're trying to prepare to see where it will erupt when it does. All right, but we're in the middle of the ocean in Hawaii, and we get the rebounds of anything that hits anywhere. So luckily, we haven't been hit with anything major. I mean, with those earthquakes, and you talk about islands the closest to us, we could get. They warn us. They give us a warning if we're going to get a tsunami. They said we might get a tsunami. All the land, like I'm right near a beach, and the sign's like 2 blocks from the ocean that says tsunami watch, can't be beyond this point. during a storm or something that happens. So that alone is a little bit weird. People are selling their property close to the ocean right now. There's so many houses going up for sale, and they never got hit. But when I watched the waves last week, the waves were splashing up on the houses, the water. And basically, they have all these glass windows, and they got to go out and clean them because salt water gets on them, and you can't see out your windows. So there's so much going on here with that alone. But in the interim, I got like maybe 10 people that watch the skies now for UFOs. Every one of them, whenever I see them, tells me they saw something. My friend, I said it last time, that he filmed an incredible 12 ships coming out of the ground. He won't give me the video. But I met another person a couple of days ago. I was walking down to the ocean with my dog, and he was playing with a meter. And I went over and said, "Is everything okay?" And he goes, "Yeah, the electric company wants to replace his meter." But I said, "You're close to the ocean." He goes, "Yeah, I watch it all the time." I said, "You see any UFOs?" He goes, "I see them all the time. These giant balls hover over the ocean for an hour or two at a time." And he said, then they shoot up and stuff. And he goes, "They're not drones." I go, "I know they're not." But he says he sees them all the time. He brought his whole family out a couple of times to watch them. And this is all the time. I haven't gotten down to the ocean at night. The reason why, there's a lot of bad things going on at nighttime around there. I set up a little path between two houses, which makes it pretty safe to walk in and everything. So I'm really planning on going out a couple of nights at least. But I'm begging. I said, out of all the things I've won, I wanted night vision goggles. Because now, I told you, this lady in Hawaii, I just found out, somebody told me, "Oh, there's a UFO group," and I finally got in touch with her 2 days ago. And she comes on, "Yeah, I charge $100 for people to come out to look through my goggles, and we look at the stars, and then we look at ships." And she goes, "Well, I do classes on how to get these people to connect with the Galactic Federation and go on their ships and stuff." I freaked out. She's making a fortune. She does a seminar that's coming up. It's $3,500. Hotels here in Hawaii are pretty expensive, but you get a discount when you get like 100 people to go to it. But again, she's charging these incredible numbers. She must be making tons of money. There's no doubt about it. But I said, if I had a pair of night vision glasses, which I almost had, I'd put it to shame in a second. Because now in the UFO world, there's a woman that does it all the time. I can't say her name, but she took over after Ed Grimsley died. So, and I talked to her a couple of times. "Well, we don't know what they are." I said, "They're UFOs." "Oh, well, we don't know that." I said, "You don't know that." I said, "We shot pictures of," "Oh, well, you're looking at blinking stars." I said, "No, we shot pictures of real ships, not stars blinking." And I hung up on her. But she's like really famous, and her name's everywhere now, and all the UFO sites, she's there. And she's making money off of Ed Grimsley's program where he used to take everybody out to see the UFOs at night. But he was a nice guy, and he wasn't out trying to make money. And he did tell me when they...
I've got something just a little bit different for everybody. So it's this. I'm not supposed to advertise it, but I'll tell you now because I'm going anyway. This week in the UK is going to be held a contactee, apparently. I'm not happy about the title, but it's Abductees. So investigated cases in the UK, because mine is one of the biggest here in the UK. I've been invited to go along and meet all the other abductees that have had their cases investigated. It's the first one ever of all of us coming together. So hopefully I should have a nice picture. I'll ask everyone if I can show it, or might not be able to show it, depending if everyone gives their consent. But I'm going to that this Friday. So I'll let you know if there's any similarities in what people say. And of course, I don't suffer fools gladly. So hopefully there's no, don't want to airy fairy like people. There is a few good, proper abductees I've had the fortune of meeting before. A couple of gentlemen and women, and spoken to them. So I'm quite really looking forward to it. Exchanging stories, getting to meet. It's only like a 3-hour long chit chat thing, and like they want to try and make it yearly. So they've asked me to go along, and I'll be there to Friday. So so I'm looking forward to that, and I'll let you know exactly what that's like, and that's free. So it doesn't really cost here in the UK for a lot of things, but like that. But yeah, so something that's good. And the local radio station here, can't give the name away on here, but if you're in the southern region of the Hampshire, you'll probably know what I'm on about. They're doing a evening radio show about all things ufology and paranormal. So I'm going to be saying hello to those guys. But yeah, this Friday, I'll let you know how it goes, how I feel, how other people think. People don't seem to. It's a bit different when you meet other abductees because you never know what to say, and people come up to you and they're like, you can see they want to ask questions, but they choke up a bit. Well, when it's one abductee meeting another abductee, it is a little different. And I've met a few before, some very nice gentlemen as well as women, and it does emotionally affect you. So we're gonna see how that goes, and say hello to everyone and record a bit of that for posterity. So that'd be a nice thing. And that's here in the UK. So I'll let you know how that goes. Other things going on in the UK. We hear more scientific revelations every day about how far mankind goes back. We're having a bit of a news blockade from the rest of the world for some reason at the moment. No, I haven't heard from the regression guys, so I'm not quite sure what's going on. I'm just reading some of the comments in the chat room. To answer John, so I contacted the guy, and the guy's supposed to be doing it, and I'm going to see one of the gentlemen this Friday. But I sent an email, and the last one was cancelled because they double booked. But I can't get my other book out. I'm being blocked. I have signal problems. My phone won't work. I get no home signal at home. It's very disconcerting when you're trying to get something done, but yeah, not quite sure what's going on. I know Tommy's suffering the same kind of thing, but other people in ufology, I think, are being blocked as well. So I don't think it's just me and Tommy specifically, but there is a lot of that going on across the world, not just in the UK or where Tommy is. But apart from that, we're hearing new discoveries every day, species, mainly fossils, and going back further. So we're getting like scientific things. And I heard that today that the rocket launch has been cancelled until Wednesday. But we're not getting what I would call day-to-day updates from other countries, what other people are going through. There seems to be a large blanket on all of that for some reason. Tommy.
All right. Somebody asked about Barney and Betty Hill and regressing and everything. It depends on the person that's doing it. I found this person who said he did more hypnotic ceremonies. I call them ceremonies, but bringing people back and different things than anybody else in the world. He said 370,000 or whatever. And he claims all these things. I just sent him a link to our show today. I was doing hypnosis when I was 12. I started hypnotizing all my neighborhood at 14. I came up with past life regression when I was 16, and I started doing it by the time I was 19. Then I came up with psychic implant removal, and I was doing that. But there's people that came out and claimed all these things, like woman that claimed she created it died, so I'm not going to talk about it that much, but she said, well, I created it. I said, I was doing it 10 years before you talked about it. So, people like to take people's things, whatever it is, and make it their own. Now, I don't know if you know the name Bud Hopkins. He probably wrote more books on abduction than anybody else out there right now. He's dead, but he was active for a while. I met him twice. Once he just walked away, and the second time he stared at me and wouldn't say a word. But I challenged him. But see, he's responsible for MUFON. He created the whole basic program for MUFON, like how to determine if a person has been abducted. I don't think there's any person out there really that can determine whether a person's been abducted unless it's the government. And they would use hardcore drugs to find out. But here's the thing. He never was next to an alien. He never saw a UFO. So what does he really know about that? So somebody could say, well, it was a purple ship. He wouldn't know if it was a purple ship. Oh, it was traveling 10 billion miles an hour. He wouldn't know anything about it. So he took all the information he got and wrote book after book after book. And then when he said, well, this is the way you can tell. You can, because when you join MUFON, you have to take this test. And they ask you, how do you determine if somebody's mentally disturbed or really abducted? I said, you get abducted, a lot of people are mentally disturbed after. So to say that, oh, they're too shaky or they're too this, to say that they have been abducted, no one knows that. And no one could prove that they're lying. I mean, if they give them a lie detector test and they want to take it, or drugs, I mean, they're going to get the truth. They're not going to get lies. Most of these people have no reason to lie. Like when Betty Hill came out, when they came out, they had no reason to make up that story. They were already being watched by people because it was a black and white marriage. And people didn't accept that in those time frames. Then they come out and say, you've been abducted? Really? And the whole story has become so twisted, and you're still trying to prove this, that, and the other thing. But it doesn't matter. That was too long ago. And everybody in the UFO conferences, and all they're talking about is, well, this program the government's doing, this program the government's doing. All right. So what? They got to defend the United States, and they are. And they can't tell Russia and China every single thing they're doing. They give them bits and drabs of information, but they can't give them the total truth. The same as they can't tell us, because we got a lot of people that sell information for money. I mean, they just snagged somebody recently high up there, and that was releasing information to China. And they arrested 2 people. You know, when you have information like the person that had to leave the country, can't get back in and all that, Snowden, you know, people like that are a danger to the United States in their mind, because they say, well, they can expose this and the other thing, which the truth is what should be out there, and we all have the right to it. But when you think your government can hide everything from you, especially the whole UFO world, it's pretty bizarre, because I'm not asking the government to come out and tell everybody about the weapons that they gave us and we're using right now. I know more about it than 99% of the people in the UFO world. But that's not what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about what happened to Tina. What happens to real people? All right, what goes down? What happens to their life? What happens to their body? Tina is very sick, and I say it's because she's radioactive, and that's not a good thing.
Tommy's actually right, guys, because since I spoke to Tommy last, you guys may laugh about whatever and what Tommy says. He's actually right. About a couple of years ago, Tommy interviewed me and said to me, Tina, I think you're suffering from radiation sickness or poisoning. Get tested, get a Geiger counter, or and test yourself. And from what he was saying and the symptoms I was showing, yes, he was right. But excuse me. But this last couple of weeks, I've been looking into it a bit more, and the US government released a study, as did the UN. The UN was back in the 50s and 60s, 40s and 50s. And the American government are now saying that the side effects of being abducted is brain trauma, brain damage from radiation and contact, and other issues with brain damage. And I shared a post that was on my Facebook from them, saying that they had a picture of a normal brain and a picture that had been someone abducted, and they were completely different because of things that have affected humans, and their blood tests are different as well. So Tommy's right. These things do exist. And how does the government, who denied all facts about contact and say it doesn't really happen, now they are looking into it, into military people only? But this thing was wrote a few years ago to say that the side effects of being abducted are blah, 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 blah. How do they know that? Where's their case studies? So that would be something really interesting to see. Tommy, goes to show what I know.
The name. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. So we're just
this person, who I can't find his name, but they did an interview. The Army interviewed him. He did 100 cases. They gave him 100 abductee cases, all the information they had about it. All right. And while he did his survey, he's a top scientist, and he tested the ideas. He tried calling the people. And with his research, he came back and gave a report to the government. 70% of them are mentally disturbed, in simple terms. 70%. 20% might have had an abduction, but he couldn't really determine that. And he came up with maybe 5 or 10 really have been abducted. So here's a scientist, no idea what abduction really means, testing these people, ideas, and the pictures and the information they had, determining what these people are. All right. So, that was released. And he did a radio show, and they interviewed him and all that stuff. But again, when people talk about abduction, you don't know a thing about it until it happens to you. Because what you have after it's over, the effects and everything, is yours alone. Nobody else has that idea, experience, or knows what's going on. Tina's the only one that knows what really happened. And she's not fully aware of everything. And that's why she wants to do a hypnosis one day to find out maybe the things she can't figure out. But even Travis Walton had that done. Never got all the information needed. Bud Hopkins worked with hundreds and hundreds of people. And still, he never read anything really important, like, what are they here for? What are they really doing? I mean, the questions that any normal person would ask if it was happening, why are you doing this to me? But that seems to go unnoticed through the government. These people, Tina has no benefits, doesn't get help. Nobody helps her. Nobody does anything for her. She's got chips over her house. You'd think the government would be watching it. You'd think they'd be trying to protect her now and trying to see what's going on. You got yourself muted.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Sorry, I was having a bit of problem there. The government are probably watching me, but they're doing nothing about it, or they're unable to do anything about it. But they need a better system, and they need to be more honest, and they need to help the public more.
Like I said, in the UFO world, all the people involved do not talk about any kind of help. Sure, there was a UFO group for abductees, and my friend was going to lead it. And the one that was doing a big show, she ran one of the conferences, said they were going to bring the flathead aliens into it. I threatened her. I said, you can't come to a conference and do that. I won't let it happen, period. And then at the conference, they changed it. The one group of people never came, so they all put them all together, and they talked about it. So they didn't do anything really stupid. But in the interim, they don't talk about help for these kind of people. I'm going to go outside the box. Now, please, I can't say any names or exact anything, but 125 doctors and lawyers have a meeting, all right, twice a year. And they set up all these billboards, posters, and everything else. How do you deal with it? What happened? What are we really going through? Some feel they're a little bit more psychic. Some feel they're deathly sick. Each one has their own things going on with them. But they can't go public. They don't want to lose their doctor's degree. They don't want to lose their medical or license and stuff. They don't want to come out and look like an idiot. But they're going through drama. And to top it off, an 8-foot being went there in the middle of the conference. So, these people are dealing with stuff that nobody else possibly could understand. And they have nobody to talk to. I have one friend that works with them. So, people... they're the people that need help with that. I mean, some people need cancer help and everything else, but they need help with dealing with what happened to them. Same as if you lose your children and things like that. You might need help just getting over it. It's not that easy. But Tina's been abducted many times, not just once. I mean, a child gets abducted once, and it screwed their life up for life. And I'm putting a book out on that. But, people, do you care? Everybody says, oh, I love everybody. We need to love each other. Do you? Are you willing to go out of your way to help anybody deal with a situation? Hold on. I'll give it to you a second. Let me let him out.
Tommy's right. There's not enough being done now. I mean, I know it's ridiculous. They've taken years and years to collect data, and what have they done with that data? Not just the American government; it's all the governments across all the world. Across the whole world. They've collected data. They have evidence, pictures. If they've got bodies, they've got testimony. They've got enough evidence. But what are they doing with it? It just seems that they're collecting it and not doing nothing. Everyone's asking questions, and we're not getting any answers. Most importantly, we're not getting any help or support.
Well, I want to just bring this out, people. There's a site called Instagram. Join it. Don't pay. You don't got to do anything. Just join it. Watch what they're putting up on there. Thousands and hundreds of pictures of UFO videos, ships, everything. If even 10% were real, guess what? There's 10% that really prove what's happening. But check it out. They're not all fake. I mean, there was only a few about actual aliens. Aliens don't let their faces get publicized. Even Billy Myers never showed the face of one of his so-called alien friends. They just showed the back of him. But in the interim, people, the truth is out there, and it's in plain sight. Whether you're willing to accept it if you see it is another story. Now, like I said, go into Instagram. Watch those videos. They're all short, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Watch the pictures. The ships are elaborate. You could spend weeks and months just trying to design that if you're going to do a fake simulation of a ship coming by. But check it out, what happens. I mean, I got people all the time. I lectured for the Thunderbirds. If you don't know who that is, it's a group of people that retired from the Army, have licenses, and hey, they all get their own planes and fly. Some have giant ships, some have small planes, and they meet twice a year. When I was working with Sergeant 18, we got to lecture for them. Each one of them had a story to tell about UFOs. Not just one of them. And at 11 o'clock, when we were trying to end it, there was this giant line, and they all wanted to tell us their stories. So, it's not new. The sad part is, like you're told, you can't say anything for 25 years or sometimes 50 years. My brother was into that. And he only told me a few things the past couple years. He's dying. But he waited half of his life to tell me anything. Because I said, well, I'm trying to get him to believe in God. And he goes, well, I did some bad things. I said, what? And then he told me. But, the Army, even in Vietnam, there was dealings with UFOs and aliens. And you don't hear that. A few of the people, a lot of them were killed. The few that came back were pretty hardcore, stoned out and drugged. But most of my friends all went to Vietnam. Only 2 of them came back. The one went AWOL. He went out with a tank and came back with nothing. But again, they were seeing things, and there was things happening. And I'll tell you this, people. Aliens know when there's a war. If they were spiritual, if they were good beings, they would help us. No, what do? Take the people being shot and killed and murdered and all those things. They abduct all that. They take all that stuff. To them, it's a free range to get free food. So people, we try to put the truth on here. We don't go into love stories, fairy tale stories. Oh, this alien really loves me. He's helping me a real lot. Yeah, doing what? Boosting your ego, telling you you're a great person? You're better than everybody else because you work with the Galactic Confederation? Galactic Confederation never proved one thing they ever said in the past 30 years. When they were created, I'm going to say created, when Ashtar Command came out, I'm going to say this, people, whether you believe it, accept it, or what. It's a program. When you reach a certain frequency, which is more being come out, a lot about that recently, but when you reach a certain frequency, you're inside the program. AI is a frequency program of a live entity, and it's coming out now. But when it gets completely brought out, they'll be in full control. It was created by aliens a long time ago. All these things, people, it's in front of your face. The wars that are going to be happening, what's happening to people, the contamination. Wow, we got these people. Everything's beautiful. We're going into 6-dimensional beings. We're all going to be enlightened. To what? To good aliens? And what are they going to tell you? Oh, you're a good person. You're going to go to heaven. What are they going to tell you, people? We can't be friends with each other. We're going to be friends with the world and aliens? Really? They're coming here to make friends with us. Well, why don't they say hi? People, you live in fantasy land like this woman in Hawaii going over to teaching people how to go. Meet the Galactic Federation. Stephen Greer, the biggest liar of them all, coming out and saying he's building a center for people to come to learn how to talk to the aliens. Why? How about talking to an angel or anything? Talk to your brother. Talk to your mother. It'd probably be better than trying to talk.
Abductees, they've already spoken to him.
Exactly. People that know and feel and experience what they really do. Instead of this person like Bud Hopkins, never touched an alien, was never touched by an alien. And he's going to tell you anything about one? Well, Joe Schmo said this. And a hypnotist, which I was trying to get into, and I didn't get into detail. I was a hypnotist for a while. I learned a lot of things that the hypnotic center courses and people that lead it have no clue. They do not know much about spirits, entities, and demons. When you get hypnotized, those things enter your body. And when you hypnotize a person, you hypnotize everything around you, spirits and even alien energies and things like that. So when you get somebody to say something, it's not coming from them or their past lives or any of that. It's all these beings that want to step in and talk. I worked doing Ghostbusting when I was 16 for 6 or 7 years. That's all real too, people. But, people don't want to deal with that. Oh, no, only angels. They don't believe in demons, only angels. They believe we're all going in a good direction. I mean, most people live in fantasy world. And all these people in the UFO world, I've been writing letters to every single one of them. Cameron and all these other people doing these conferences and talking all this stuff. They don't want to talk about the truth. They don't want to talk about the government having wars with aliens right now. You don't think they are? Well, they are, people. You don't think they go after people that put the truth out there, like Phil Snyder? Now, my friend Sean David Morton got out of jail, I'm not sure how long ago, but they did everything to him to try to kill him. They were pulling his teeth out. They tried blinding him. I'm not going to go into the really bad things. I don't know if you can say them on the internet, but they had to let him out because he's dying. He has cancer from his throat down into his lungs. So they let him out. He's going through all kinds of treatments trying to survive. And his book, his first book, well, one of his books that was released a while ago, is the most important UFO book out there. It gives all the facts from the Philadelphia experiment to now, what the government was doing, who the United States government was working with, and how, and what they were doing. It's all real, people. Whether you want the real information, oh, well, I met Joe Alien, and he's going to give me some healing medicine. I'm not saying they can't do that, because they can. Now, somebody mentioned MJ-12. I was friends with one person from that. And this is a real story, people. And who knows what's going to happen. But they have honey that can cure and heal almost any disease on this planet. And we were supposed to get it. And then he was no longer in existence. But if you watch the first movie of X-Files, the original one, all right, you'll notice it was all about bees and honey, and she got bit. All right, that's all based on fact. X-Files was always based on facts, people. Every story that was ever shown on that was taken out of a police department, out of an actual story. So how real or not, that's in between. But even the second show was about the Bigfoot in New Jersey. And they used to go down Atlantic City and go through the dumpster getting food and everything. Well, people don't believe any of that, except you talk to the homeless people that saw them going in the dumpsters and stuff. People, if you want the truth, you got to put footwork in there. Eye work. You got to put time in. You want to see a UFO, go outside. Spend an hour or two, not 5 minutes. Oh, I'm looking, I don't see no UFOs, and go back in. No, they're not flying. They're not that visible at night. They're not all saying hi and waving and going slow enough for you to see them. Well, when I was with Sergeant 18, last thing, and I'll get back to you, Tina, we set a camera up, and I'm trying to tell Skinwalker Ranch people how to do it, how to film UFOs during the day. We filmed at least 2 or 3 every half hour going over us. We put one on A Strange Universe. I can put that video up it's only about 35 seconds. When it was put on TV. The show was taken off the air the next week. And that's when they put John Ford in the nut house. All right, because he was going to come on. They put him in jail. They said he had uranium and he was going to kill Congress and all. The stories get elaborate. And the more elaborate they are, the more people believe it. When these UFO people, every year, well, I was met by an alien. I don't know what happened. Next year, well, they took me on a ship and they brought me up here. And then the next year after that, well, then they got 10 more things to add to the story. It's amazing. The truth doesn't change, people. You get abducted, it stays the same. You have been abducted and they played with you. period. And 90% of the time, 99% of the time, I don't see anybody coming back with any actual proof. Tina's one of the few people that have more proof about everything that she went through, but a lot of it she can't even touch because the government won't let her get near it. And I say, people, if you care about the UFO world, really, really care about people that get abducted, help John Ford. Help Tina get the video that was shot what they cut out of her stomach and they won't release it. People, you want to get involved? You got money? I don't. If I did, I'd help her every which way I can too. John Ford, he's been in that house since 1996. Every year the government comes and says, well, we got to reevaluate him for another year. Because if he goes to court, he will release the best video ever shot of a ship crashed on Long Island. I saw it. Incredible. I knew him. He wasn't crazy. And he had a piece of uranium this big, tiny, tiny. And they arrested him and said he had a barrel of uranium. Nobody could have a barrel of uranium and walk around alive. What are they, morons? People believe that story. Tina's story is probably the most important story in the UFO world. And if she can live, I'm sorry to say that, if she lives long enough, she will be probably the most famous UFO abductee. All right? Because she has more to say, more facts and foundation on what she did, what she went through, than all these other people. Well, they came in. Now they use the nice simple word, which we hate, experiencer. And it was a good experience. They took us here and they fed us, really? And we went to see the cities and blah, 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 blah. Not one of them can help mankind move forward in any way. Why is that? Oh, they're going to help us. Help us what? And then you got the other people. Well, they're going to help us when we're ready. Ready for what? To die? We're getting closer to war. Why don't you think they help us? Why don't you think they help all the children? Why don't you think they help anybody right now? Mr. Putin's going to the Ukraine. He went twice now in the past month. You know, that war is crazy. Putin's in trouble. I mean, there's a lot of things going on, people. Putin admitted he worked with aliens as well. Are you ready to listen? Are you ready to dig through the lies that's out there and say, hey, I really want to get involved. I want to be a part of this, not a part of the dreamers. All these good aliens coming down. Oh, they're going to help me. Help you what, people? And you should be worrying because you're going to die. And are these aliens going to help you along the way? You're going to get sick. Oh, well, they heal me. Healing is not by other people, as you will find near your death. Because you go to a psychic healer and they say they healed you. They can't take your karma away. Oh, we healed you all your karma. No, they can't do that, people. If you kill the person, you destroyed families that could be here, that will never be here. That's called karma. Buddha was dead on about creating that word and releasing it to the world because they needed to know the cause and effect. Sure, people twisted what Jesus said. Oh, just ask for forgiveness and it's all gone. No, it's not gone. Things don't just disappear. You get abducted. It's for the rest of your life. So Tina's going through some incredible times, not good. I mean, I feel bad because, you know, she's right about everything she says. I mean, she's friends with all these UFO people, which I am not, because they don't tell anything important. They don't really help her in any way. So, you know, it's time for us to wake up, people. I know people don't want to. There's so much, can't even afford your food anymore. Her food's escalating 5 times. Mine's escalating like 3 or 4 times every other month. Every other month, something goes up $1. I mean, cookies that were like $3.99 or $6.99 now. So it's just crazy. And they're not worried about aliens right now. They're worried about trying to pay the rent next month. I'll give it back to you, Tina.
Yeah, so Tom is right. That's not just happening in Hawaii. That's happening across the globe. The economy has been absolutely shocking, but it has a knock-on effect on everything. So people that go out sky watching that can't afford the petrol because powdered milk that used to cost them 79.89p went up to £2 2p in January and is now £5 2p. So there's no need for the government to put the food up or allow shops to put the food up by that much. It's either done as a diversion tactic or we're truly coming towards the end of times. But it's humanity's having a crash on everything this last few years since COVID. I think the whole world's in a serious decline. Something's either going on that the government doesn't want us to know about. Call me conspiracy theories, but I think a lot of people have actually said, they've seen this coming, and now it's here. So what is the next step? So there's no currency available, things are sky high, and they're not going to get any cheaper. There's no return. So what is the next step? It's a bit of a grim picture, but
it's that time.
It's that time. Let me have a look. So when I was first talking to Tommy, he said that I was ill, and he was right. So I've got this. It's called an electrical magnetic radiation tester. Now, excuse me. Oh, yeah. So I'm going to switch mode on. I have one. Tommy has one. This is my second one. The first one I think I dropped in water or tea. It's on. Now at the top, as you can see, it says volts per meter, which is at the top, and micro testers there at the bottom. So I have a smart screen TV, so it's not going off, and Tommy doesn't, so his will go up. I'm not feeling too good, I must warn you all.
I don't get nothing on the bottom ever.
So last week mine actually read 0. No, I had a bang on the head actually last week, so you never know. So this week it's giving it some. Yeah, I smacked my head last week, so it could be why I didn't get any signal. You never know.
We have something now, right?
Oh God, yeah, it's back to normal now. I shouldn't say back to normal. It should be that close to 0. Last week was normal, but this is not. Oh,
people, that's not possible. Just so you know, you can't have radiation one day and not have it the next, and then have it the day after. That's an impossibility. Sorry. Ask any scientist. I've been trying to get somebody to give us feedback or talk to us about it. Nobody will. No, phones don't put out much radiation no matter what they tell you. Maybe the older phones do. I have a brand new phone, so I have no clue. But I take mine to the store. And we got 2 cell towers. All right?
Oh, so that's
1 cell tower. Sorry.
One
cell tower has radiation and the other one doesn't.
So and if you let me know what the mean. Oh, I've got 2 at the top. 1 or 2. See that? Oh, it's just gone to 0. Oh, it's just gone to 0.
You know, depending which way you hold it, it picks up different kind of beams. I found out. If I point it to if I show you the screen, mine goes down. But if I turn it the opposite way, it goes up. Mine's at the 260 on the other side.
Oh, look, one there.
But that's not even safe for your human body consumption to be hit with. So people, go ahead.
Test yourself. So there's lots of other things you can try and do to keep yourself safe, but there's absolutely no point because there's nothing you can do about it. Again, I'm going to say it again, abductees do not have a recourse. But you don't want to hear me ranting this week. But, there are tough times ahead, and there's going to be some scary things. I think people don't want to hear abductee stories because I think they think it's so far out of their
realm
and reach. But there's a true horror to it that people aren't seeing or don't want to see, which is a bit more scary.
I just got a new mouse pad. They lost the first one, so it just took a month and a half to get. But that's my new mouse pad.
Oh, well done. Okay, then.
Playing with orbs. All right.
Yeah.
I was a fire dancer as well. But and doing ceremony at the top, and there's my partner. So, I'm on top of everything I can be. I write more letters in a day than 90% of the people involved. I'm sure nobody even comes close to how many letters I write to all these UFO people and so-called spiritual people. Now, Oprah's coming back out, and they're saying, why is she involved with gummy bears? Well, she's involved with Deepak Chopra and Eckhart Tolle. Both 2 people that just talk about living in the moment, and it's beautiful. What's happening? Do we care? Do people care what we create? I don't think so. We're not creating anything good. You think after, 100,000 years, We might be able, like even in Jetson, if we created a city like that, we could. Now, I'm going to tell you this. AI, the computers that they fed it information. 5 of the top computers in the world. What does the future look like? They all came up with the exact same video. And it looked like the Jetsons. All right. How does artificial intelligence from all over the world come up with the same thing? I mean, it's like in the Bible, there's 2 chapters where the exact same words are said. 2 different people can't say the same thing exactly the same. It's impossible. So when you see these things going on, realize the truth is there, but you're not going to hear it from somebody out there. These government people, these UFO people, most of them are programmed. And if it's not by aliens, it's by the government. If they're out speaking, all right, the government knows what they're saying. They know what they want them to say and what they're allowed to say. Stephen Greer's been saying a lot of things, all right? And he's one of the people, but he came out and said, well, they offered me $3 billion to walk away from the space program. Really?
Oh, just recently, I must admit, I just purchased and watched his newest documentary just to see, and all he's done is, I don't know, I've never met him. He seems a very nice gentleman, but it's just reiterated over and over. I suppose it's probably what we all do, but it's old information and it's nothing really new. But if the government were going to change their minds, they would have done it by now. If they were going to help the general populace, they would have done it by now. So the governments aren't doing anything for us. I think the military are pushing it because they know about the defence situation and where they stand, because they're the first people are going to turn to or turn on to say, why haven't you done nothing? So the governments, I think, that they've had long enough to come out and say something. I think everyone thinks they've been on a cusp for a long time, and it is, coming to a head now. Whether the military beat them to the punch, I don't know. It's going to be a close call, Tommy.
Well, we've been doing this show a long time. People don't like to come on because they're afraid of the truth. And I mean that seriously. They're set in a little box and they like that. Nothing's going to hurt them. Everything's okay and everything. But, they can't go out of that box or they'll be exposed to the truth. Walk down the street. The crime in Hawaii is crazy. A block away from me, this musician, he's got a girlfriend. He just lost his son, died. And somebody took his 4 goats, the mama and dad, and the 2 babies. 2 days ago, they stole them. They went in his yard and stole his sheep. He had 1 sheep as well. And these are desperate people. Why would you do something like that? I mean, if they even knew his story, it's bad enough he's trying to survive. So, people...
Well, that's the cost of it. That's the price of living at the moment is going up and up. People are going to see more animals disappear.
Oh, no, it's not going to get better. UN Agenda 21-30 is in full swing. They're at stage 4. And people don't want to accept that either. What it means. Population depletion is the first center of their main goal. And that's going to happen within the next 2 years. Then their goals is one world order. Controlled environment with limited people. Even the aliens don't want tons of people. They can't. If the alien race had a supply and take care of us, they couldn't do it. I mean, they use us for food. If they had to feed us, they would never be able to do it. So you think the government has it any better trying to feed 8 billion people? Not really. So these underground cities, which are completely built, I don't know if you know much about our cities, Tina, but our underground cities have every kind of hydroponics farming, all right, and synthetic air and everything else in these cities that supply and keep them healthy and everything else. But they don't have to come out to the real world.
I'll tell you what, Switzerland and oh God, Switzerland and another country. Oh God, it's a Nordic country. Gosh, I've lost it. In Sweden, have bunkers, huge bunkers. They've been built. Sweden's got massive. The Alps, they've got huge bunkers they've had since the war. And I watched a program on them the other day how many they have. But Sweden and places like that have had them built into new homes, new establishments, and they have them built for the public and in public spaces. No other country, I don't think, it is up to that. And they've seen this coming for a long time. They've made announcements for people to be preppers. They're telling everyone to be prepared, get more food, get ready for, either a bomb, no food. They're telling everybody, and they're always ahead of their time. The Swiss and the Swedish they're always up there, So that's something we should be adhering to. Because I don't think here in the UK they're expecting the general populace to survive anything.
Well,
we're having that announcement. This Sunday will be the emergency alert sent to every mobile phone in the country. Will be this Sunday. It's a practice at 3:00 here in the UK. So that's Sunday the 23rd at 3 p.m. You'll hear the emergency alert alarm on your phone. You won't be able to switch it off. You'll have to follow the instructions on screen to turn it off. But it's going to sound at 3:00. So I'll let you know if I can record it. I will, but I'll let you know what it's going to be like. Tell me. Got the last few minutes.
Well, it's always a pleasure, Tina. But people, we don't know how long we're going to be here. The government could take me out tomorrow. Anything could happen. But the truth is, you need to find the truth. I can't give it to you. Tina can't give it to you. You can only tell you things, and you can decide whether you want to or not. But most people are so programmed by their parents or their religion and their friends, they don't want the truth. They think they have it. And nobody in that realm has any truth that's important to save you in any way. The hospital, they give you, 150,000 people die in the hospital every day. So guess where you don't want to be if you're sick?
I've got so many hospital appointments coming up. Thanks, Tommy.
I gotta go to the hospital Friday. So yeah, but I'm just saying. We always say, well, let's go to the hospital. We'll be safe there. You're walking into a sick environment, sick people, and how protected are you? You're walking with a space bubble on. You might be, but not any other way. A face mask, they don't even make you wear them anymore. But again, how much does that help you? So people, as far as the UFO world, getting back to the main topic, how to determine if somebody's been abducted or not. Let them tell you their story. Let you decide how real it sounds to you. Let them explain their emotions and feelings. It's hard for somebody else to translate somebody else's emotions. If I'm writing a book about you and you said you were having a hard time, well, they were having a hard time. You don't know what that means. So if you talk to a person, like Tina said, talk to people that have actually said or are or was abducted. See how they feel. See what they talk about. Well, King James or some spiritual being came in and brought me to the. I mean, when they add things to it, guess what? It's not real. When they say, well, they don't know, or they know they have no clothes on and they were on a table and things were coming at them, and then they don't remember, they couldn't feel it, but then they felt the pain, but they couldn't move. All these things, they all have very similar things. So why is that? So it's not good things. Please, Tina would be the first to tell us how good aliens are if they were good. I mean, as far as helping us move forward as a race. And that's not what they're doing. And like Tina said, all these little things, they could help us if they wanted. They could stop a war. What's the original day the Earth stood still?
Not. So how good is that? You've got a superior race that are taking people that can bypass our security, come in unimpeded, they're refusing to help us, because if they did help us, then we wouldn't have any war. But so they can't be that good if they're not helping mankind. So think on that one. And yes, crop circle time of year here in the UK, normally not far from where I live. We normally get the first 1 or 2 crop circles, but I haven't heard or seen any this year as of yet. But we've had terrible weather. As soon as I hear or see anyone, I'll let you know, and I'll let you know how the big event goes on Friday night about meeting other abductees, and I'll let you know how the security sounds Sunday. I'm going to sign off at this point because I'm not feeling too good, but I will let you know a full update next week, and I expect to hear all your updates. Gather as much information. Come on, ask me questions for me and Tommy. We'll tell you what it's like. So I'll be very real about it too. But for me here in the UK, Tommy, as always, you've been brilliant. I've been Tina Bird in Southampton here in the UK. You can check me out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll see you all next week. Till then, Tommy,
Before you go, please, anytime, call me. We'll talk on Skype. I need to talk to you sometime. All right?
I will. It's different timelines, and we're
I don't care. Anytime. I'll talk to you anytime.
Okay.
I need to talk to you. But people, Tina Bird, best person I know in the UFO world.
Thank you. Bye-bye. See you next week. Bye-bye, guys.
All right, Tina Bird, great person. Nobody's helping her, all right, in the UFO world. Some of them want to hear her story, but let's see how far the people are going to let her go, because all these experiences are downplaying the bad part of abduction. They're all programmed. I mean, the famous people out there like Corey Good. I mean, these people that said they were working with aliens and they did this, they showed them this. Now, George Cavalassius, he's from Australia. He came to the United States years ago and started telling what his experiences was, what the aliens are going to do. He said the world was going to be destroyed in 2 years, and that was maybe like 8 years ago. He went out to James Gillen, ESETI Ranch, and he changed completely. I warned him. I said, be careful. Watch what goes on there. Because James Gillen is talking about all the good aliens. I met him face-to-face as well. And he goes, well, I talk about the good aliens. You talk about the bad aliens. I said, well, show me a good alien. All right? Show me something good they're doing for mankind. All right? They have the ability to do it if they wanted to. Why do people look at the bright side of things when there's no bright side there to look at? I'd look at good things if there were any. What? Our food's contaminated, air's contaminated, water's contaminated, the ground's contaminated. People are pretty sick, messed up. What are we going to do? Say everything's beautiful? Everything's beautiful in its own way? Yeah, its own way is not the beauty that we need. All right? An ocean that's waves, they're pretty. A tree with flowers on it, pretty. But are they going to help us? They're dying. A lot of trees are getting sick. I mean, I went out, I was in California working at Sequoia National Park for 2 weeks. But the trees had a disease, and half of the trees were dying, and they were all falling down everywhere. It was scary and sad. They built this beautiful hotel out there. It was at that time, which was over 22 years ago, it was like $450 a night. And since I was a worker, we had to eat in the basement whenever we ate, all right, which was pretty sad. And then they wouldn't give me the salary they told me when I came there. So I quit, just walked away, and somebody else said, I'm going to leave too. But, people, we're in the real world. The only thing people care about is money and drugs. Seriously. Oh, beer's part of the drug scene. But outside of that, do they care about anything else? And what I feel the worst about, not just women and children, abused, attacked, and sold, and all these other words. And it's happening greater and greater. And if people aren't aware of that, please, I'm trying to get my book edited. I want to get it out there. It's going to be an ebook. It's going to be as cheap as I can make it, but I want to get it out there as fast as I can, which isn't happening. It's months already. I supposedly have somebody that said she'll edit it, but I'm trying to get in touch with her. I don't have a phone number. I see her sister, but I didn't see her sister in a month and a half, almost 2 months. But I got 3 different people talking to her. She said she wants to do the book and all that. So hopefully soon I'll meet her. She'll do my book. And then, okay. Oh, somebody said they saw a message from Sargel that he's coming back. Well, we'll see. We'll see what he says when he comes back. And if he's Sargel, what is he? Lord Sargel? Or Sargel 18? All right. While I was with him, he suddenly became spiritual. He bought what do you call that statue? Mary, the Mother of Jesus statue, like a 6-foot statue. Had it in his camera all the time. Then he had an alien on the other side. And then he goes into all these different stories about Jesus. And I challenged him. We kind of had separation for part of the reason. Because he said he talked to Jesus. I said, well, ask him a simple question. Oh, well, I know you're right. I said, well, ask him a question. Since you talk to him and see him and all these other things. But, people, my book, The True Teachings of Jesus from God Realization, is my life. I put my life on the line. I live by that. That's the truth of me, period, to God. Nobody else. If you want the truth, and I'll be talking about that later on this week, hopefully. But people coming out talking about aliens, are they helping us? Not when they say they're going to help us, and they are helping us, and all those fake lies. Tell us what's going on. The government can't protect us. That's why they can't talk about it. They can't stop the ships over us every day, every night. And they want us to believe that they're drones, balloons, they're everything except UFOs. Lou Elizondo, one of the top speakers in the UFO world now. I've been trying to get in touch with him physically, verbally, Skype, any which way, for the past year and a half. Not one reply from him. Did the government say he can't talk to me? I kind of believe that's what the case is. Because he's still saying, the video, he just did a TV show, and he's still saying he really thinks a lot of them are drones. Drones don't travel at the speed of light. There's no need to. If you got a drone, you're trying to spy on something, you're not going to travel at the speed of light to go up through the universe. Doesn't make sense, does it? But these people are so programmed. They can say what they're allowed to say. They can't talk about what they're not allowed to say. Oh, man. I'm trying to think that the astronaut just came out saying that really there were aliens on Mars. I mean, on the moon. There were ships there. There was bases there. One of the astronauts, I can't say the name. I forgot which one, sorry. But just came out. I got the video. I could pull it up if I had time. Saying that it's all real. And they saw it. They experienced it. I saw a video 30 years ago of a base on the other side of the moon. I didn't shoot it. An astronaut did. All right? And that was completely covered up. And it still is. Now, China went to the moon. They said they found something on the other side of the moon. They're not going to say it was a base, are they? They didn't release that, did they? And they think they're going to have control of a base. Well, it was a vacant base that I saw a video of. Kind of looked like a crystal city with nothing going on. Whose Facebook page? We'll see. All right, he's coming back. He was supposed to die last year. He was going to give me all the pictures we shot, and then we had a fight. So yeah, he's a person you could trust, really. His last prophecy said 2034. Jesus comes down and kills Lucifer. Take that for a grain of salt because it's not real, not possible, not even going to happen, and it can't. All right? Well, that's his site. He might not even be running it or using it. We'll see if the videos come out with him talking and saying whatever. We'll see what he has to say, if it's really him. I know he took a step a different way than I did. My truth is God, period. Nothing is more important than God. Not aliens, not space people, beings, and entities. I mean, I work with deities, I work with angels, I work with all of that. But God is the only important thing. You should want to talk to that before you talk to an alien. Talk to a higher angel. Talk to even a deity. But why an alien? They reprogrammed the Egyptians. Now, if you don't know anything about history, aliens have been here for such a long time. But the first religion on the planet was Hinduism. All right? Before that, they were worshiping animals. And then Hindu was created. But that religion was based on sex. 90% of it was revolving around sex. The deities and everything else that was going on. Then, when aliens came down, I mean, Atlantis was alive and well and was destroyed. At that time, mankind's thinking was reprogrammed. Aliens didn't create us. The Anunnaki didn't create us. They're all twisted man stories. Yeah, there was the Anunnaki, but they weren't gods. They didn't have the ability to do multiple things that they claim and say. They didn't create us. Now, the stories get twisted. I'm aware of all my lifetimes back to Atlantis and one time before it. Thought the being that's written about is not the story that you read because nobody knows his story, except if you read the Emerald Tablets. He wrote that for people. All right? There's a technique that goes with it, and there's a technique to learn about ascension. I'm telling you straight out. Not one person on this planet I know has gone through it that's alive today. Not one person. All these people claiming to be that they went through ascension and everything else, they would have 32 psychic abilities and be able to use them like Jesus did and Mary Magdalene. But they can't, and they don't. Caroline Corey claims she can levitate a piece of paper. Wow. If you can do that, you can levitate a car. All right, these people claim things. Now, Uri Geller, who was with John Lennon the week before he died and was given something from an alien, claimed a lot of things. If you saw the movie Men Who Stare at Goats, he said that's his story. But basically, he carries a stone that John Lennon gave him the week before he was shot in New York City, a week or two, I forgot. But he won't let go of it. He won't let the government, anybody, touch it, take it, or analyze it. He says he believes John Lennon. And John Lennon did not like aliens. He did say he saw aliens in ships in New York City, but he never talked about being abducted. I guess he knew he'd be a laughing stock if he did. All right. So, and why was he killed? He was killed for a reason, and the stories they put out there weren't even close. The word is called world peace. Government was afraid of that. Well, the Akashic records, you don't need to see them. If you can't learn about leaving your body and everything, there's no way you're going to see them anyway. So the first thing you need to learn is how to get out of your body. Meet with an angel, something like that. That's the first step, people. The Akashic records, people say they read them. It is a spiritual law you can't invade if you read somebody else's. So guess what? Sir Uri Geller is still alive. All right. I was supposed to have him on my show, and he went on my friend's show instead, Sean David Morton. And he told everybody to get any broken watch they had in the house, and he was going to make them work. And a lot of people called in and said, my watch is working. But again, one of the greatest magicians, all right, wrote a book on Uri Geller calling him a fake. And this person offered $1 million if they could prove one trick that they're doing is real. All right, nobody took that money ever. Nobody could. To this day, there's no really outrageous psychic magician, healer, whatever words you want to use, and put them together. Now, there was a special on levitation. This one guy traveled the world to find anybody that can do levitation. He ended up going to Tibet in the mountains and met with this guy who claimed he could levitate. He came in the door. He wasn't allowed to go past like 5 steps past the door. The guy was on the other side of the room, and he rose about maybe 6 inches. All right. So I was a magician for 28 years, stage magician, as well as not a black magician, but a magician. I'd say white witch if you want to call it anything. But again, he levitated, and he wasn't allowed to go near him. The second something like that goes down, it's a fake. In the magic world, it's how you see it, where you're allowed to see whatever's happening from. I mean, I did a couple of levitation tricks and things, but I knew how most of them were done. But people would swear, no, oh no, we saw it live. David Copperfield was on stage, and he had like 6 rings spinning around, and he walked through all of them, and then he rose up into the top part of the audience and went out the door and up into the sky. All right. Now, it was a trick, people. He wasn't a supernatural being. He wasn't really flying through the air like Superman. But people swear, well, he's a black magician, or he's a magician, he's this or that, he's an alien. No. I mean, if you watch Doug Henning, who was my friend, and I was trying to be involved with him, he bought land in Florida. I bought land right next to it because he was building a magic castle. And it was going to be when you float through it, when you go through it and everything. He was hanging out with your Maharishi. It was going to cost $1 billion. And then Doug Henning died. All right, people get taken out for the weirdest reasons, and usually it's because the government doesn't want certain secrets out there. Read about the Rain Man, what happened to him. So, things that can change reality. All right. Now, Sajal and I, we were working together for 6 years. We met with people, and then we got a letter right before we were doing a conference that you can't, you're not allowed to go, you're not allowed to speak, and blah, blah, blah. And we went. But we found out one person was taken out. The one person we met was threatened too. She was the granddaughter of Ulysses S. Grant, and she wrote a 1,000-page book on the Illuminati and says he was responsible for creating it. And they threatened to kill her whole family. All right. People, I've been there. I've done it. I started doing hypnosis when I was 12. I did past life regression. I did psychic implant removals. I did exorcisms. It's all real, people. But it's as real as people that are involved with it, accept it or use it or deal with it. You could be being possessed, not know it your whole life. There's a lot of things that could go on and you not know it. You could be a really bad person and pretend or think you're the greatest. Now, what I'll tell you, just even in families, parents, 98% of them abuse their children one way or another. I couldn't find one family that didn't actually abuse their children ever, because they all do. And I'm just saying, that's the truth. I mean, I'd love to see somebody prove me wrong about that, but it's the truth that I know, and I see it everywhere, any which way, any child, and what they do, what they become, what they believe in. Programming and the conditioning that children are put through are the worst conditions for a normal, good person. People, aliens aren't here to make us better people. And someday, soon, very soon, people will realize that. All right? It's not going to be a good experience when the world knows that aliens are really walking around here. I don't know what you're talking about, a floating glove on my shelf, but I had a floating ball and it stopped working. Suddenly the magnet got too strong and the ball doesn't suspend it in midair anymore. Yeah, the globe, it doesn't work anymore. It takes 12 volts and I put 40 volts through it, but it must have supercharged the magnetic field of it, and I can't even pull the ball away. It won't stay in midair like it's supposed to. So, the magnetic field on the planet's changing for a reason. Everything that's happening happens for a reason. Whether you understand it, science will never understand it. They'll make stories on top of stories to tell you what it is and what it isn't. But really, do you care? You should care about certain things, and you should not care about other things. Whatever you did in your past, you need to work it out. That's a fact. And don't think about creating more karma. Don't say, well, I can get away with that, or I can get away with this. No, you can't. Karma builds up whether you want it to or not. Do something wrong, and it's there. It doesn't disappear. All right. When you die, you take it with you. That's the only thing you take. You don't take your car, your house, your family, or anything else, but you take your karma. And that usually means you're going to reincarnate. I can't talk about this with Tina. She's not into any of that right now. I don't blame her. If I went through what she did, I probably wouldn't be in the same space. I went through a lot of different things that made me in that space and know and find out the truth about it all. Death is the most important thing. I mean, it's birth and death. And the game you play for 125 years is just that. And what do you think you learn? How to do what? Nothing important. Unless you start a real spiritual path, and I don't think people on this planet know what spiritual means. Well, what it means to me and what it means to what it should mean to most people. Or I shouldn't say we only have one mission here. The whole world, everybody that's here has one mission. All right, and that's to learn how to get out of the body. And then you can experience yourself as soul, which is what you are. Not mind programs, because you'll be aware of all your past lives. Your mind can't perceive that. Your mind doesn't know it. And when you reincarnate, the mind still doesn't know it. Soul tries to feed bits and pieces of that information. Like if you suddenly, I could go ride a horse and you do, or I could drive a car and you do, you play a piano and I do. It's not your mind saying, I'm aware of you being this person. And I worked with the top psychic in the United States when I was 16 for a couple of years. We were doing ghost busting at the time. I had a covenant. I was a high priest and all that. I learned the good and bad of everything. And you'd be surprised how much bad is in everything that people think are good. Just even saying, I want it to rain today, and you make it rain. Guess what? You did something that's not supposed to happen. When you play God, or when you think you're God, your ego has become too great for your body. But in most cases, that's where we're at right now. Ego's growing. No matter how bad the crime is and the destruction and everything else, these people with ego, like Mr. Rump, all right, what's going on, people? You still support him. Oh, he's the greatest. What? If you knew the bad things he did, like people only look at the good things. He didn't like Native people. He did so many things against the Native people. And then what's he do? Gets one elder, dresses him up in full regalia, and he gets this Native person. We love Trump. We all love Trump. When you say that, you're speaking for everybody? Very few natives even think about Trump in any good way, ever. So, and I'm sorry, people get people to lie and give them money and bribe them or beat them, whatever way they have to get somebody to say what they want. It's a sad world, people, and you're in it. And you're in it until you leave it. If you learn to leave it, you can leave it anytime you want, which I was allowed to do, and I still am. I'll be leaving when I have to. I mean, there's a few things I want to attend to and take care of yet and try to. Putting the truth out there is one little thing. The only thing I want people to know that aliens are real and they're really here. All right, because all my life, everybody called me crazy because of that. Even in the phone company, everywhere else, all my friends, family, they didn't want to hear it. Now, my nephew was supposed to come out. We were supposed to do a movie of taking a ship out of a lake, out of showing a Bigfoot body and all that. And that all went down the tubes. You're asking about the Montauk chair. That's a whole discussion in itself. All right. A machine to get out of the body. I'm not going to talk about that because that's not where we're at. My little invention up there is mine. All right. I was taught by a couple of people different things, and I put it all together. To me, I feel that that's the most powerful thing there is on this planet right now, as far as healing stone or anything like it, the crystal skull and all that. But I don't let people touch it in general. Very few people get to touch the meteorite that's in it. It's probably one of the oldest meteorites on the planet. Seriously. Paid a ton of money for it. And I didn't buy the rights, the paperwork and everything else that was supposed to come with it because they wanted thousands of dollars for it. I said, I don't need that. I don't need that proof. I just need the meteorite. Hold on 1 second. Okay, this is it. And it's really heavy. But it fits my hand a special way. All right, the fingerprints are in it. All right, I used this a couple times. People that are slightly aware get zapped out in their body and everything else. But am I promoting that? Am I doing that? No. I don't feel people are ready to leave. They don't want to leave because they don't have any clue why they would leave and where they're going to go. All that needs to be learned one way or another. All right? I can go into stories, but I'm not going to go into stories because it doesn't help anybody right now. The only story or truth that you need to know is you need to find the truth. You need to go through the stories to find the truth. The Bible has some truth in it. Some. Not a lot. Man twists everything. All right. To think that these people told the right story. When Jesus was alive, you think they had a person that took shorthand and wrote down everything he said? Really? You think they understood what he said? He talked in riddles. How do people translate a riddle if they're not intelligent enough to do that? And the people he dealt with in that time frame were farmers, fishermen. They had no schooling. They had very limited verbal words like we do now. They didn't know what God meant. No real concept of God. Moses' concept of God was pretty lame. All right, not even close. But again, talking to God, God doesn't talk to people. It's not a person, doesn't have vocal cords, so it doesn't relate to soul the same way. But soul is not what we perceive it to be. It's not a body, it doesn't have a tongue and a brain and eyes and all that. It doesn't need to. All right, its abilities is incredible. Okay, the question on Tesla, he was not spiritual. Just so you know, people, if anybody gets to listen and stays here this long, Tesla worked with an alien race. I cannot tell you what race it was because I don't know. And nobody can tell me. But he did work with a race. He wrote it in his personal notes. He created 200 inventions, 50 of them the most deadliest weapons on the planet. What spiritual person would do that? At what level or what reason? All right. Again, if there's spiritual people and evil people, who do you think wins in this planet? That's why it's hell. In the next world, the astral plane, you can't kill somebody else. You cannot kill a soul. Soul's indestructible. Jesus taught that. Jesus taught it was immortal, meaning it doesn't have to reincarnate. Now, Buddha didn't teach that. Most people do have to reincarnate because they don't learn what they need to learn. If you can't learn to travel outside the body, what makes you think when you die you instantly learn everything? You don't. You don't become an angel. You don't become a super spiritual being. You're the same you. Just you're not in this body. And you're in your astral body. But you're going to take on a physical body again. Why? This is my last time. And I did it for a reason. I mean, I was alive when Jesus was alive. I was alive in Atlantis. Why would I come back now? One simple reason, which I worked out. It took my partner, a Buddhist, who helped me go through it and experience and learn what that was, what I really needed to see. All right? Dreams are just dreams, people. You go to sleep every night and have dreams. And they're not all visions of your past life. Very few of them are. It's a mixture of what the mind can perceive out of what it knows, which is limited. When you have a past life experience, you'll have an incredible experience and you'll know something that you didn't know before. I can get into one that changed the way I looked at things. It's sexual. I was about 12 and I went to sleep. I woke up crying. I was wet and stuff. And I said, what's going on? Well, in my dream, which I thought it was, or didn't know anything about it, I was married to a Japanese woman. And we were making love and all that. And I never even saw a naked body up until that time. And I'm for real about that. So, you know, when you get a vision, it'll bring experiences that you don't remember and don't have in this lifetime or didn't have. And you'll become aware of something. But, you know, just being aware of living over and over and over is useless because you didn't learn what you were supposed to any time during those time frames. You think after a couple hundred times, you would learn not to stick your hand in fire. But just about everybody born to this day still has to touch something hot to see what hot is. Something cold to see what cold is. You know, like the story about the 100th monkey? Another fake story. Read it. Read about the 100th monkey, what happened and all that. That's a fake story. Because when the monkeys were born, they did the same stupid things over and again. But animals have this awareness, which is different. All animals have, it wouldn't be the same as we are. Because they can live and survive without help. The human body can't. Put a human body in the woods, baby, it's going to die. Period. There's nothing it can do for itself. Animals learn to do things no matter what. Sure, some die, but most of them learn how to do something, how to eat, how to do anything. So where are we not learning much? And we still prefer war, killing, and all the other things over peace and love and all the words that everybody says, oh, love's so important. No, it's not. If it was, we'd be all in a space of loving each other. Could that happen? Not anytime soon. Sure, a country loves their country, but they don't love other people's countries. People love their gods, but not other people's gods. And the word gods means their creation. There is only one God, and it's not male or female. So the concepts, it's just mind programming when women say, well, God is a girl. Really? Concepts like that are programs, that's all. Programmed within them by people around them. I studied medicine for 26 years, and most of her students were women. It was all about the goddess. So yeah, I studied all about the goddess and the teachings and everything else about it. I made it to 4th level in moon ceremony. Men aren't allowed ever to go into 5th ceremony. 5th, all right? But it's interesting what I learned and what they believe and how they live and all that. The same way Native people, it came from Native teachings. They have their limited views, their stories and everything else. Native people were great to have storytellers. But the truth never comes out in the stories, which is sad. The pipe carrier, white buffalo, they don't even know the meanings of it. I'm not going to go into those stories. It has nothing to do with UFOs, except they say they work with the Greys. The Greys never helped the Native people, ever. There was 50 million Native people, and they were all killed. Only less than 1 million survived. I'm talking a full-blood Native person today. All right? So with that, people, I'm going to say good night, goodbye, peace, love, compassion, whatever you need in your life. Hope you find it. Don't stop until you get it. Don't listen to the lies. Learn how to translate it. Make it fit into the truth. Realize your body's senses, taste, smell, feeling, emotions, are all deceiving you. Because it's coming from the mind, which is a program. Pain and suffering. Well, you can heal your body. Well, we could do a lot of things if we were working on that, but we're not. We're working on happiness, which is a false idea. It's like saying a light can be happy or sad. Put on your bulb, turn on your light. Now that light coming from it, is it happy or sad? Tell me. Oh, it's happy. Why? Because you think it's happy? Oh, it's sad because it's sad. Really? How do you know? So the things that we have perceived that it is can't happen from an object or an entity, a dimensional being, or whatever words you want to use. Do not look at it the same way that we can perceive it. With that, till next time, Tommy Hawksblood here, closing out. Thanks for listening. Send this link to everybody you can. Even just do it once. They might hate you, but do it. You care about the truth, put it out there. Till next time.